Welcome back to Two Trees in a Pod with Alyssa and Sam, where we talk about all things life and relationships and tie it back to faith. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Sam.
And today we are excited to talk about comparison. Let's get into it. Welcome back. We are excited that this is episode 20.
20 episodes. Who would have thought that we would have been able to stick to something for 20 consecutive weeks and not miss one?
Well, I guess it's 17 weeks because we dropped 3 episodes on day 1.
Yeah, but I'm going to call it 20 weeks because this is episode 20.
Yeah, I guess I'm proud of that. Let's do some highs and lows before we start off this episode.
Okay, Alyssa, what were some of your highs over this last week?
Over the last week, I think my highs were finally not being down bad physically in terms of my health. Like, I had a kind of a concussion all week and I'm finally feeling better. So that's great. Had a great volleyball formal. That was awesome. My teammates are so much fun. And we just had a team Bible study and that was awesome too. So we're just kind of rolling with the highs this week. How about you, Sam?
That sounds awesome. I think the high of my week was the men's Bible study retreat. It was basically a nice long day of pickleball and a fantastic dinner. And then after that, we went to your volleyball formal. So,
oh my gosh, I had the women's retreat too. This has been a big high week.
You've had a lot of highs this week. And you know what? I think my biggest high is that you're healthy again.
I know.
So we're able to tackle the week as a fully functioning unit. So it's been a good week.
Yeah, I mean,
minus
it was down
the concussion.
bad. Minus the concussion, but I was starting to feel better by like Wednesday. So that was good. By like Thursday.
The low of your week was rec basketball.
Yeah. Guys, I don't know if we've talked about me doing rec basketball, but I don't think I can ever do that again. It was brutal. If you know me, you know I'm terrible at sports that aren't exactly, specifically certain parts of volleyball. So I am a master of one and good at nothing else. So no transferable skills. Anyways, that maybe ties into what we're talking about today. We're talking about comparison. One of my favorite quotes of all time is "Comparison is the thief of joy." It's a cliche, but cliches are cliche for a reason, and I eat that up. So, comparison, Sam. What do you wanna start with this?
I mean, we can go perfectly to that example of you playing rec basketball. You're a perfectionist. You play
True.
volleyball, you're good at volleyball, you love volleyball. The second you touch a basketball and it doesn't go in the hoop and do exactly what you want,
You think I can even get to the hoop?
that's what I'm saying. But you get so upset right off the bat because you're like, well, I'm good at volleyball. Why am I not just as good at basketball? And it's like, well, it would be very difficult to have the skills of a Division I basketball player if all you've ever done is volleyball.
I mean, fair, but like...
That comparison translates to everything else of, well, I'm really good at this. How can I be just as good at everything else? Well, other people are that good at these events. And comparing yourself to, well, I'm not the top at these other sports. This is tough. This is difficult. You're comparing yourself in an unfair manner. I think the example was volleyball. People can count on you. You know you're helping the team. You feel like it wasn't the best fit playing basketball.
Because I was bad at it.
But that's okay, because you were comparing of, oh, I'm not the best player on the team that can do everything. You were on a different role of, okay, maybe I can't be the one that's relied on for the whole basketball game.
So how does that translate into like other areas of our life? I mean, we always hear the grass is greener on the other side, like grass is always greener. What else? What are the other sayings?
Yeah, grass was always greener was the one that came to mind. So I was trying not to pause there, but you really...
I stumped you.
I think grass is always greener is the go-to. In all points of life, you can just look and see, oh, well, so-and-so has this going on in their life. okay, well, are you comparing every other point of life? Or are you just saying, okay, they went on maybe a vacation that looked a little more fun? Or this person does a little better in the gym? Or this person has an easier class schedule? Well, you don't know every other part of their life. You're comparing one small individual part of your life to their life and saying, well, that's better.
I think something that's really difficult about being in your 20s is that there's so many different walks of life to compare to. Like, you've got people on all ends of the spectrum, and we touched on this a little bit in one of our earlier episodes called The Struggles of Your 20s, and everybody's in a different place. And you know what that is like a breeding ground for? Comparison. And comparison, thief of joy. And you can look at, like, say you're single, say you're living at home, say you're single and living alone, and you're looking at, like, everyone's getting engaged, everyone's getting married. That's not easy. Or if you're in a relationship and you see single friends doing things that you can't do anymore, or other people who are buying a house and starting a family, you're kind of like, oh man, why am I not there yet? Or if you're married and starting a family and buying a house, you're like, wow, did I rush this? Like, there's a place for comparison in all those different walks.
I think in a lot of those scenarios, when you compare, it can almost come off as ungrateful for a lot of these situations. An example was, and we really enjoyed our previous living situation. We had roommates. They were good people. And we're like, oh, well, so-and-so, they get to live on their own. They don't have any roommates. And here we are now. We are living with no roommates.
But we have gravy.
Well, so-and-so has a house, or so-and-so has this. Okay, what happens when we get the house? Well, so-and-so has...
a renovated kitchen.
Has a new kitchen. So-and-so has a bigger backyard.
They have a finished basement.
So there will always be someone with more, and there'll always be someone with less. So comparing our situation to anybody else's situation... yes, it can come off as ungrateful, but who it really harms is you making that comparison. Oh, well, if only we had this. Well, once we do get that, or if we do get that, there'll be another thing that we'd want. And it's completely normal and human to want things, but what's most important is being grateful for what you have and realizing that you can work towards these wants, but not saying, oh, their life is better. They have it better. They've got
my
something
life
more.
Sucks.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's such a good example, Sam, because I remember being so excited to just have our space. And like you said, like, we loved our roommates, but like, there is something so freeing about living on your own and like having your own living room, having your own kitchen, all that stuff. It's like freeing. And I think I only felt like truly grateful for it with no negative thoughts about it for like a week, which this is something I've wanted for years. And then like it really only satisfied me for a week before I was like, I wish the apartment was different in this way, like all these things that I wish I could change, or I wish gravy didn't suck so much so I didn't have to replace all my decorations all the time. Gravy's our cat, by the way. Most of you know that, but he's very destructive. And then I find myself saying, like, just wait until we get a 2-bedroom. Just wait until we get a house. I've been living out the just wait moment that I've been searching for years, right now.
Because previously it was just wait till we live on our own.
Exactly. And it's never going to be enough. And now I find myself, like, I feel like I'm getting over the whole house thing because we renewed our lease, so we're in the apartment for a while. And I'm starting to rock with it, right? But now I'm like, we should get another cat. Just wait until we get another cat. Everything will be better when we get another cat.
I think it ties in perfectly to a previous episode we did with happiness and joy. The comparison of happiness to joy. It made us really happy to move into this apartment. Okay, we're on our own now. But happiness is temporary, it's fleeting. That newness of this is our new location, this is where we live now, cool, this is awesome. Well, over a week, a month, now it's just the norm. This is where we live. this is our surrounding, this is our life right now. But pivoting towards a kind of joy mindset of, I'm so grateful that our situation is that we get to live here. Or previously, I'm so grateful that we have roommates that are respectful of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, or even in the future, I'm so grateful for where we'll live after this because we have so many options that could happen. And instead of the comparisons of, well, if only I had this, pivoting to a grateful mindset of, I'm so grateful I have this, other things are in store, I'm just not sure what.
That's a great mindset to have. It's also challenging too, because why are we working so hard every day? Because we're trying to make something better happen. It's the rat race that we're kind of stuck in, right? Like, we're chasing that. What even are we chasing at the end of the rat race? It's funny because there's no end, right?
As a Christian, the end of that rat race is just glorifying Christ with your life.
Yeah, but that's
Which
not the
means
rat
there's
race.
no
The
end.
rat race is the chasing the next best thing.
Need more money,
It's
need a bigger
the-
house,
Mhm.
need more things.
And it's like the meaningless job to attain all those things. That's the rat race.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, for Christians, yeah, the end goal is eternity. So there really is no end because it's eternity, which is interesting. But
It is.
yeah. So, I don't know. There's also other ways to go about the comparison conversation. Like, if you talk about, like, comparing looks or talents or gifts, and that can be challenging. I know, like, especially as, like, a female, like, comparison runs rampant in you as an adolescent, and that can be so difficult.
Yep. I would like to say that was just a female problem, but it's definitely not. There are pretty much, maybe not as much social media wise, but guys like to compare pretty much everything. Well, I did this, I did that, I have this, well, I'm building this, I have this much of life's a competition in a lot of eyes, and if you see it as a competition, how do you win that competition?
You can't.
You're-
Sorry, I'm yawning. You
You'll-
can't win
you'll-
the competition.
If it's a competition, that means you're always comparing to see who's winning. And if that's the way you go about it, there will always be someone who's beating you in that competition.
You're never going to be the winner of the comparison competition because there's always going to be somebody who's at least better at the facade than you are. And because you can't do a facade in your own life, so somebody else's facade is going to seem better than your own life, so therefore you will quite literally never win.
And we fully support lowering the ego a bit and being humble. That being said, it's not really done in a very happy manner if you're comparing to other people and putting yourself down. When you look at your own life and you compare today to tomorrow to the next day and what you can do, those are the comparisons that are healthy. That's what you can do. If you're comparing to a year from now and you say, well, my life sucks right now, but in a year it'll be better, that's the negative comparison because you're saying today is not as good as it should be.
You know, it's a really great way to reframe that.
What's a great way?
So I saw this thing somewhere, I don't remember where, but it said you are currently living one of your answered prayers. And I think that's a really great mindset to have. Like, if anytime you feel like you're getting stuck in that trap of comparison and then you're just constantly chasing the newest and the next best thing to keep up with the Joneses. It's such an old saying, but I feel like
Old soul.
yeah, old soul. If you look back a year ago, 5 years ago, you were praying for some aspect of your life that you're currently living right now because God is good. I was praying for my own apartment with Sam. I'm living that prayer. I was praying he would go to church and be baptized, and I'm living that prayer. And, like, there's so many other prayers that I'm living right now that I sometimes forget to give God glory for because I'm so focused on, like, getting the next thing, like, going to my next step in life, when in reality, like, the present is really what matters the most, and there's not really much to compare the present to except the past, because you can see how far you've come.
I think that's probably a perfect example. Well, in a year and a half, we'd love to have a house. well, a year and a half ago, I didn't even have a faith life. And now we're on our 20th episode of a faith-based podcast.
That is crazy.
So it seems like, oh, time is so short. Things move so fast. A year and a half ago, I didn't have a faith life. Now, we are very far into a podcast about it. Our friend groups are fully based around it, and you've had faith life much longer than me. But it just goes to show how fast things change and where you think you might be in a year from now, a year and a half, even a month from now, can change so drastically. You can't just compare, oh, this is what it'll be like, or this is what I want.
Tell God your plans, he will laugh in your face.
What I wanted a year and a half ago is a lot different than, not a lot different, but different than what I thought I'd be at right now. I know for a fact that where I am right now is so much better than what I wanted for myself a year and a half ago, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought I knew what I wanted. Everyone thinks they know what they want. And then life works out to actually show you what you really want. And it's so much better because his plan is better than any plan you can come up with.
If I were to compare, like, the past to the present, I would be so jealous of the life that I'm living now. If I had known, like, what was going on right now, like, a year ago, I would have been like, oh, she's so lucky. Like, if I was some stranger or whatever. And it's interesting because, like, I don't always feel like that on a day-to-day basis. Like, like you always say, Sam, living the dream. Like, a day-to-day life, like, I'm sitting in the office or I'm sitting in class, I don't feel that way. But when I zoom out just a little bit and look at my past, I'm like, wow, I've come so far, and I'm so proud of that. And that's not even like a pride thing, it's just like a look what God has done thing, and I can be proud of what God has done, not like saying that you're proud of God is like interesting, but like, I don't know, I do feel kind of like, I guess awe would be a better word, like, amazed at what he's done in my life and things that I've never thought that were possible before. So if you want to talk about positive comparison, looking at where you have come from is a great comparison opposed to where you think you should be going.
Exactly, especially when where you think you should be going, say a year and a half ago, and where you are is much different.
Two years ago, or a year and a half ago, I guess, I was hands and knees praying for this job that I didn't end up getting, and thank God I didn't end up getting it because I wouldn't have played another year of volleyball and we wouldn't have moved to New Hampshire.
And we wouldn't have met this faith community, and I wouldn't have found this new job, and we wouldn't have had this apartment together, and all of these things.
If I had gotten that job I thought I wanted so bad, this would not have happened.
Yep. And now here we are, and this is way better than what we could have predicted. But in the day-to-day, it's, I've got a long day, I've got a lot of commitments, oh, you've got to do this. It's like, well, a year ago, if you found out you were going to go get a free master's and play another year of the sport you love, and we'd get to move up there and have our first apartment together, and I would get a new job, and all of these things, it would be like, well, that sounds fantastic. Of course I want to do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, of course I'd pick that option.
But we didn't even know that was an option.
Mm-hmm.
God just makes that happen. And that's why I think awe was the perfect way of describing it.
And when I was so upset when I got rejected from that job after 5 rounds of interviews, I can just imagine God being like, just you wait.
You're
like,
welcome.
You are going to be thanking me here, like, not too far off. Like, you are going to be thanking and praising me. And you don't even know it yet. And I just remember being so upset when I got rejected. But we want our prayers to be answered, right? And I think we often forget that a no is an answer. And that's so uneasy to deal with because you don't want to be told no. I don't want to be told no. I grinded my butt off for that job and I got told no. 2 months of interviews, 5 rounds, rejected in the last round. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But I'm so happy it happened because I would not be where I am right now if God did not close that door. And I think like in our prayers and stuff, we got to remember like to ask God. When we're praying for opportunities, we got to pray for closed doors too. Because when he closes a door, he opens a million others.
Mm-hmm. And he opens all of these doors and we're like, but why didn't you let me in that one?
Yeah, and that the other side of that door probably stunk.
Yep.
Probably sucked. And we're just like, but I want to go in that door.
Here are a ton of doors. These are fantastic options. No, I want the door you closed. The one with the bad option.
The one that will lead you to the path of destruction and you don't even know it.
I think that's probably one of the toughest things to come to terms with from a pride standpoint, of realizing no matter what you think you may want in a situation, you could very well be wrong.
No.
It's very tough to hear. It's like, okay, I don't know everything, and this thing that I really think I want might be bad. It might be the wrong thing. And then when it doesn't happen, you're like, but that's what I wanted, and it's probably something you really did want. But it's definitely something you shouldn't have had, and you don't know why. And you're confused. And that's part of, if you think of it as a really fun story where the ending's going to be fantastic, and there's a bunch of twists and turns along the way, and they're all for your good, well, then it just, okay, the future's surprising. There's all these exciting twists and turns coming up. But it really sucks when the thing that I thought I wanted doesn't happen. What am I going to do now?
I know, it's very disappointing. And I feel like it's so easy to look back on the past and be like, well, of course God told me no, because look at now. Look, now is great. But we're walking through another season of life where, like, I've got a job for the summer, but I don't have, like, it's just a temporary one. It's not, like, a full-time position. And I'm like, God, why are you not opening these doors for me that could lead to full-time positions? And I've really got to remember that, like, he has a greater plan and a greater purpose, and it's so hard to do that in the moment. But I just walked through a period of life where I was told no, and look what God did with that no. He turned it into a billion yeses, and it was amazing, and it's still amazing. And I'm going through another change like that, and I'm like, knock, 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 God, please, yes on this one, please. And he's like, shaking his head, nope, not yet. And I just gotta wait and see what he does with the no, because only he knows what he does with the no's. I'm sorry, that was terrible.
I loved it. That was the best.
So on that note, I think we should...
I think that's the perfect note to wrap up on.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it there.
All the no's, only he knows.
He only knows all of the no's. So we want to thank you for joining us this Tuesday, for giving us your Tuesday, whether it's your morning, your afternoon, maybe it's Wednesday already, who knows. Just thank you for spending like 20 minutes with us. We're trying to keep the episodes a little shorter, so they're more commute friendly, workout friendly. I don't know. Hope you like it. But next week, we're going to be talking about wedding stuff, because we are getting married in a year, and we want to talk about it because we're self-centered.
Yes,
so.
We want to talk about the wedding.
Sam loves talking about the wedding. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Stay blessed.